There are more than 1 million AI-related jobs open right now. But most software engineers are approaching this transition completely wrong. They're spending months studying things employers don't even test. And the crazy part? If you're already a software engineer, you're probably much closer to becoming an AI engineer than you think. Welcome to TechWithKoushik, where we simplify complex technologies and explore future-ready career paths for technology professionals. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact migration roadmap I would follow in 2026. Not a beginner roadmap. Not a research roadmap. A roadmap built specifically for experienced software engineers. And I've also created a complete technical migration playbook you can download for free. Link in the description. By the end, you'll know exactly what to learn, what to skip, what to build, and how to get interviews. Let's start with a number that should genuinely grab your attention.
Look at this. Right now there are roughly 1.6 million open AI engineer roles. And only about 518,000 people qualified to fill them. That's a gap of 3.2 to 1. 3 open jobs for every 1 qualified person. Think about what that means. In most careers you're fighting hundreds of applicants for a single seat. Here, the seats are competing over you. This is the single biggest talent shortage in tech, and it is not slowing down. But if the demand is this high, why are so many capable engineers still stuck on the outside? The answer is uncomfortable.
Here's why. Almost every become an AI engineer roadmap out there treats you like a total beginner. Step 1, learn to code. Really? You already do this for a living. These guides hand experienced engineers the same child-proof checklist they'd give a high schooler, starting with linear algebra and math you will almost never use on the job. It's demoralizing, it's slow, and worst of all, it's wrong for you. You are not a blank page. You're a working system with years of value already inside you. So let's throw that beginner script in the trash and replace it with something built for engineers. This is the core idea of the whole video, so lean in. When you upgrade a big piece of software, you don't bulldoze the entire system and rebuild from zero. That would be insane. Instead, you add a new layer on top of what already works. Your career is exactly the same. You are a solid, running system. Becoming an AI engineer isn't demolition. It's installing one thin new layer on top of everything you've already built. Migrate. Don't rewrite. Say it with me. Now, to know what layer to add, you first need to understand what an AI engineer actually does. And it's probably not what you think. Let's kill the biggest myth right now. Most people think an AI engineer sits in a lab, training giant models from scratch, buried in equations, needing a PhD. Wrong. That's a machine learning researcher. An AI engineer is something very different. You take models that already exist, like the ones behind ChatGPT or Claude, and you build real products on top of them. Chatbots, search systems, automations, agents. It's closer to backend engineering than to rocket science. Which means the skills you'll need, you mostly have them already. So here's the roadmap we're going to walk through together. Here's your migration map. 6 clear steps. 1. Reframe how you see yourself. 2. Audit the skills you already own, and you own more than you think. 3. Learn the right curriculum, not the wrong one. 4. A concrete 90-day build plan. 5. How to prove it and get hired. And 6. The move itself, and why the timing right now matters so much. By the end, this stops being a dream and becomes a checklist. So let's start with step 1, and I'm going to show you the secret weapon you already have, that bootcamp graduates would kill for. Let me tell you about your secret weapon. It's the instinct that wakes you up at 3 in the morning thinking, wait, what happens when this breaks in production? That instinct? You can't teach it in a weekend course. It's earned through years of shipping real software that real people depend on. Handling failures. Reading logs at midnight. Building things that don't fall over under pressure. AI systems fail in messy, unpredictable ways, and companies are desperate for engineers who already think about reliability. That's your moat. That's your unfair edge. And it's just the beginning of what you already bring to the table. Let's actually map it out. You know REST APIs? That's exactly how you'll call every large language model. You know Git and version control? That's how you'll manage AI pipelines. You understand system design? That's the backbone of building a RAG architecture. You debug and test for a living? That becomes AI evaluation and reliability. Look at that. Every single skill on the left maps directly to a skill on the right. You're not learning a foreign language, you're learning a new dialect of one you already speak fluently. So the real question is, exactly how much do you already have? Let's put a number on it. Here's the number that should give you real confidence. As an experienced software engineer, you already possess about 70% of what an AI engineer needs. 70%. The systems thinking, the coding discipline, the APIs, the debugging. Done. You're not standing at the bottom of a mountain. You're already 2/3 up. Which sounds like great news. And it is. But it also creates a dangerous trap. Because once people hear they're 70% ready, they often start studying the wrong 30%. And that mistake can easily cost 6 months. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Here's the twist. Migrating isn't only about adding, it's about unlearning a few things too. As a traditional engineer, you expect code to be deterministic. Same input, same output, every time. AI doesn't work like that. It thinks in probabilities, not certainties. The same prompt can give slightly different answers. There's rarely one correct output, there's better and worse. And you can't just ship it and forget it, you have to keep evaluating it. Once your brain makes this shift, from certainty to probability, everything about AI suddenly clicks. And it's exactly this mindset that makes you dangerous compared to the competition. Speaking of which, let's talk about who you're really up against. The bootcamp graduate. They've memorized the AI theory. They can define RAG and rattle off the buzzwords. But here's what they've never done: shipped something to production. Handled a real outage. Scaled a system under load. You have. And when a hiring manager has to choose between someone who can talk about AI and someone who can actually build and ship reliable software, it's not even close. The scale tips to you. Your experience isn't a disadvantage. It's the whole game. So, are you actually ready to start? Let's check. Quick gut check. Be honest with yourself. Are you comfortable writing Python? Have you built and shipped an app that people used? Have you worked with REST APIs? Can you read production logs without panicking? If you're nodding along to most of these, congratulations. You are more than ready to begin this transition. You are exactly the person companies are hunting for. And if a couple feels shaky? No problem, they're quick to pick up along the way. Now that we know you're ready, it's time for the part where most people go completely wrong. The curriculum. Get this right, and you leap ahead of 90% of applicants.
This next point might save you 6 months. Seriously. 6 months. Because this is where most engineers waste the majority of their effort. They're climbing the hardest mountain in AI. Meanwhile, hiring managers are standing on a completely different hill. Most candidates spend their time learning model training, deep mathematics, and advanced fine-tuning. The internet is telling them to learn one thing. Hiring managers are looking for something else entirely. You're studying for the wrong exam. The good news? Once you understand the skill pyramid, your learning path becomes dramatically shorter. And now I'll show you exactly where 80% of the jobs actually live.
Think of your skills as a pyramid with 3 tiers. Tier 1, the foundation, Python, APIs, SQL, Git. You already have these. Tier 2, the middle, and this is the golden zone, large language model APIs, RAG, evaluations, and agents. This is where the jobs are. This is where the money is. Tier 3 at the very top, fine-tuning, heavy PyTorch, deep math, is nice to have, but honestly, most AI engineers rarely touch it. The winning move is simple: skip the peak for now, and absolutely master that middle tier. So let's zoom right into it, the 5 skills that get you hired. These are the 5 skills. Write them down. 1. Calling large language model APIs, the raw power. 2. RAG, retrieval augmented generation, teaching AI to use your own data. 3. Evaluation, the skill almost everyone skips, which is exactly why it's gold. 4. Building agents, AI that can take actions, not just chat. And 5. Prompt engineering, getting reliable results on demand. Master these 5, and you are instantly more hireable than the crowd-chasing fancy theory. And by the way, all 5 of these skills, the recommended tools, and a structured learning checklist are inside the free migration playbook on KoushikMaji.com, so if you're taking notes, grab that after the video. But knowing what to learn also means knowing what to ignore, at least for now. Permission granted, you can skip these. For now. Fine-tuning models? Skip it. Heavy advanced math? Skip it. Training a model from scratch? Definitely skip it. I know it feels backwards. We're engineers, we want to understand everything down to the metal. But every hour you spend on this rabbit hole is an hour not spent on the skills that actually land the job. You can always circle back later, once you're hired and getting paid to learn it. Focus wins. Now let's see how all these pieces snap together into a real system. Here's how a real AI application actually fits together. It starts with the user app, what people see. That talks to an orchestration layer, often an agent, which is the brain deciding what to do. That connects to the foundation model, the language model doing the heavy thinking. And it pulls knowledge from a vector database, so the AI can reason over your data. See the flow? User, to orchestration, to model, to retrieval. If you can build and connect these 4 blocks, you can build almost any AI product on the market today. And here are the exact tools you'll use to do it. Let's fill your toolbox. For frameworks that tie everything together, LangChain and LlamaIndex. For memory and retrieval, vector databases like Pinecone and Chroma. For the intelligence itself, model APIs from OpenAI and Anthropic. And to make sure it all actually works, evaluation tools like Rogers and Langsmith. Don't feel like you must learn all of them at once. Pick one from each column and go deep. Tools change every few months, but the concepts behind them stay rock solid, so learn the ideas, not just the logos. Alright, you know what to learn. Now let's talk about the exact 90-day plan to actually do it. 90 days. 3 simple phases. 30 days each. The first 30, learn the stack, get hands-on with the core skills. The next 30, build and ship one real project that actual people use. The final 30, target the right companies and start interviewing. That's it. No vague study for a year nonsense. A tight, focused, 90-day sprint that turns you from software engineer into hireable AI engineer. Let's break down each phase, starting with days 1 to 30. Phase 1. Days 1 through 30. Your mission: get your hands dirty. Make your first call to a language model API. Learn prompt engineering by actually doing it. Build a basic RAG system that answers questions from your own documents. And write your very first evaluation to measure if it's any good. Notice, this is not about watching endless tutorials. It's about building tiny things every single day. By day 30, the magic stops feeling like magic and starts feeling like engineering. Which sets you up perfectly for the most important phase of all. If you remember only one slide from this entire video, remember this one. A single deployed project is worth more than 10 certificates. Let me say that again. One deployed project. 10 certificates. The project wins. Every time. Why? Because certificates tell employers what you've watched. Projects show employers what you can build. Anyone can complete a course. Very few people can take an idea, build it, deploy it, test it, improve it, and support it in the real world. That is what companies pay for. So stop asking which certificate to earn next. Start asking which problem you're going to solve. Because the next project could be the thing that gets you your first AI engineering interview. Phase 3. Days 61 to 90. Now you go on offense. Target the companies that actually hire career changers, and trust me, there are many. Practice designing a RAG system out loud, because that's exactly what interviews now test. And most importantly, learn to tell your story, the migration story, where your years of engineering become your greatest strength. You're not begging for a chance. You're bringing rare, in-demand skills to a market starving for them. Now, back to that project, because getting it right is everything. So what does a killer portfolio project actually look like? It solves a real problem, something people genuinely need. It's deployed in live, not rotting on your laptop. It handles edge cases, the weird, broken inputs that break lazy demos. It has evaluations, proving you measure quality. And it documents your trade-offs, showing how you think. Nail those 5 things, and this one project becomes worth more than any certificate on earth. And inside the free playbook, I've included project ideas you can build in healthcare, finance, internal enterprise search, customer support automation, and AI copilots. Don't copy a tutorial, build something connected to a domain you already understand. That's where your unfair advantage comes from. And to keep building projects like this without burning out, you need a rhythm. Consistency beats intensity every single time. So here's a simple weekly loop that keeps you moving without burning out. Learn something new. Build a small piece with it. Ship that piece, even if it's tiny. Then reflect on what worked and what broke. Then repeat. Learn, build, ship, reflect. Week after week. It's not glamorous, but this quiet loop is what separates the people who actually transition from the people who just talk about it forever. Okay, you've built the skills. Now let's make sure the world sees them. Let's settle a debate once and for all. Certificates versus real projects. I know it's tempting to collect course certificates, they feel like progress. But here's the hard truth, hiring managers barely glance at them. What makes them lean forward? 3 to 5 real projects you actually built and shipped. A certificate says I watched some videos. A deployed project says I can build the thing you need today. So stop collecting badges and start collecting proof. And let me show you what world-class proof looks like. This is what separates a hobby project from a professional one. A basic demo works perfectly, as long as the user does everything right. But the real world is messy. Empty inputs. Weird questions. The model hallucinating. A professional build plans for all of it, a retriever that finds the right data, guardrails that catch bad outputs, and graceful handling when something fails. Building for the edge cases is the exact instinct you already have as an engineer, and it's precisely what makes hiring managers trust you. And there's one more thing they secretly love to see. Here's a counterintuitive tip that works like magic. Document your failures. In your project's README, write down what broke, what you tried, and what you learned. Most people hide their struggles. Big mistake. Because when an employer sees, here's what failed and here's how I fixed it, they don't see weakness. They see a real engineer who thinks clearly under pressure. That's a giant green flag. It shows maturity that no perfect, polished demo ever could. Now, let's make sure you're aiming at the right target, because AI engineer isn't just one job. Quick but crucial point. AI engineer isn't a single role, it's at least 5 different lanes. The core AI engineer, LLM ops, agent builder, applied scientist, and AI product engineer. And here's the mistake, trying to be all of them at once. You'll end up shallow in everything and hireable for nothing. Pick one lane. I'd point most software engineers at the core AI engineer role, since that's where a whopping 80% of the jobs live. Go deep in one. Get hired. Then expand. And here's how to make yourself almost impossible to ignore. This might be the most valuable minute of the whole video. Everyone's learning AI skills. So how do you stand out? Simple. Combine AI with a domain you already understand. If you've worked in healthcare, finance, logistics, anything, merge that knowledge with your new AI skills. An AI engineer is common. An AI engineer who deeply understands hospital workflows or banking regulations? That person is rare, and rare is expensive. Your past experience isn't baggage. It's leverage. So let's turn all of this into how you actually present yourself. Same experience, completely different impact. It's all in the framing. Built backend APIs is fine. But watch this, shipped production systems at scale, and now I wire language models into them. Same you. But now the story screams AI engineer, not just a coder hoping to switch. Don't restart your story from scratch. Reframe the powerful one you already have. Alright, you're skilled, you're positioned, you're ready. But there's a reason you need to move now. And this next part is time sensitive.
Let's talk timing, because it matters more than you think. Back in 2023, you could land an AI job with barely a notebook and some enthusiasm. That door was wide open. Today it's still open, but it's narrowing. Every month, more candidates flood in, and the interview bar rises. The engineers who move now walk through comfortably. The ones who keep waiting for the perfect moment will find it much harder a year from now. This is your window. It's open today. So let's talk about what walking through it is actually worth. Let's be honest. Nobody spends months learning new skills just because it's interesting. We do it because it creates opportunities. And right now AI engineering is one of the highest paying specializations in technology. In the US, juniors start around $130,000 to $170,000. Seniors clear $300,000 and beyond. Here in India, experienced AI engineers command roughly 40 to 95 lakhs a year. But here's the important thing. Companies are not paying for prompts. They're not paying for buzzwords. They're paying for engineers who can build reliable AI products. Engineers who understand retrieval, evaluation, and how to deploy systems people actually use. The salary is the outcome. The skills are the reason. And that distinction is what separates professionals from hype. But let me save you from the traps that keep people stuck. Avoid these 3 traps and you're instantly ahead of most people. Trap 1, tutorial hell, endlessly watching, never building. Trap 2, chasing every shiny new tool that drops, instead of going deep on the fundamentals. Trap 3, studying theory forever because building feels scary. Notice the pattern? All three are ways of avoiding the one thing that matters, actually shipping. Don't let comfort disguise itself as progress. The doers win. Always. So let's make sure you become a doer, starting in the next 7 days.
Don't wait 90 days to feel momentum. Start in the next 7. Day 1, grab an API key. Day 2, make your first language model call. Day 3, build a tiny RAG. Day 4, add a simple evaluation. Day 5, deploy it somewhere public. Day 6, write the README. Day 7, share it with the world. In just 1 week, you go from thinking about it to I've shipped my first AI project. And if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, don't overthink it. Download the playbook, open the 7-day checklist, and focus only on the next step. Not the next 6 months. Just the next step. Momentum beats perfection. Let's bring it all home. Let's lock in the big picture. You are already 70% of the way there. You focus on Tier 2, the real skills, not the academic Tier 3. And you prove it all by shipping one real project. That's the whole game. Remember the phrase that started us off? Migrate. Don't rewrite. You're not starting over. You're upgrading a system that already works, and that system is you. You've absolutely got this. And I want to help you take the very next step. Before you leave, I want you to do one thing. Open the Notes app on your phone. Write down one AI project you are going to build this week. Just one. Then put it in the comments. I'll read every single one. Because the difference between the people who successfully transition into AI engineering and the people who keep talking about transitioning is action. And don't forget to download the complete Software Engineer to AI Engineer Migration Playbook, free, from KoushikMaji.com. Every skill, tool, and step from this video on one page. If this helped you, subscribe to Tech with Koushik, hit that like button, and share it with another software engineer who needs to hear it. Your migration doesn't start next year. It doesn't start next month. It starts today. Now go build something. This is Koushik, keep building.